Chair recognizes the gentleman from New York.
I don't know the last time I got a chance to talk here was, but thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And Chairman Cole, my Democrat colleagues have claimed that many of the spending reductions in this legislation, that they're callous, they're cruel, they're unnecessary. The list of virtue signaling just goes on and on. Yet these claims seem to be, in my view, they seem to ignore the enormous amounts of new funding that many of these programs at these departments have seen come their way in the past several years due to the Biden administration and congressional Democrats' reckless spending, which is just out of control. Specifically, I'd like to highlight once more here that the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, signed into law in 2021, provided $118 billion to the Highway Trust Fund, advance appropriations totaling $47 billion for the highways, and another $21 billion for public transportation through the fiscal year 22 to 26 period. Chairman Cole, over the past several years, is it safe to say that we've seen many of these programs addressed in H.R. 4820 overfunded by a significant margin?
Well, yes, I think it is, and more to the point, they simply weren't paid for. Now, look, I voted for 3 infrastructure bills in my time before the so-called bipartisan infrastructure bill last year. 2 of those were with President Obama. So, but they paid for themselves. The last one did not. And it was on top of, again, a $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan and a significant plus up in discretionary programs. Some of that money we can get at. Some of it, as my friend Mr. Simpson said, is already obligated and we can't get at. So we tried to strike the best balance we could. But the idea was to start getting the spending under control. Look, we're about to run a $2 trillion annual deficit that's structural. I don't know anybody proposing tax increases that come anywhere close to filling that gap. And when my friends talk about the Trump tax cuts, that was $2 trillion over a decade, over $1 trillion of which came back through in faster economic growth. And honestly, I would argue probably provides the basis of the rather robust economy we've enjoyed since then, with the interruption of COVID that sort of, we can't blame that on anybody. But the reality is, yeah, we're spending way more money than we can afford. And with all due respect to my friends on the other side, they're not proposing any way to close that gap. We have not had a Democratic president submit a budget that came into balance in a decade, over a course of a decade, since Bill Clinton was president. I mean, the idea is we can just run deficits forever. The lines never cross, they never come together, and we can just do it forever and there won't be a cost to it. I think we're beginning to see the cost now. That's why the interest rates are a lot higher. That's why I had to teach my 41-year-old son what inflation was like, because he was less than 1 year old the last time it was as high as it's been. And he thanks God every day he bought a house. He regrets it was across the street from me because he can't move ever away again. So it's been good for my family, I guess, because he's cemented there for life if we continue down this course. So yeah, we've spent beyond our means. Let's just put it that way.
Well, thank you very much, Chairman Cole, for your leadership. Chairman Simpson, to pivot here, as you know, the Environmental Protection Agency is moving forward with a proposal to decertify certain furnaces, air conditioners, from the Energy Star program. Additionally, the agency has proposed removing gas, oil, and biofuel appliances for boilers, dryers, and commercial packaged boilers from the Energy Star program as well. And at a time of historically high energy costs, this proposal could wreak even further hardship on American families, our businesses, especially our small businesses, and risk the long-term security and stability of our energy grid. Of course, we know that this is all being done in the name of promoting heat pumps and forcing Americans away from products that are affordable, reliable, and traditional, and that have worked well, that they trust, instead of moving forward with more inexpensive and unproven options. Chairman Simpson, can you expand for us once more on what this legislation does to help put the brakes on the EPA's changes to the Energy Star program, and more broadly, how does this legislation put the brakes on what can only be described as a weaponization of the agency towards a radical new Green New Deal objective?
I thank you for the question, and I thank you for your leadership on this issue. If you want to see all hell break loose, wait till they come and take away my wife's gas stove. She will go nuts, literally, because we've had an electric stove. Nah, she's gas all the way. But that's why our Interior report includes language directing the EPA to not remove the certification of any product solely on the basis of its fuel type. And I believe you'll see some amendments probably made in order by this committee dealing with this specific issue and the Energy Star program. And that's what we're trying to do with the EPA is get them back, get some sideboards on what they should be doing. They have 27 environmental statutes that they're supposed to enforce. Okay, get back to enforcing those things and quit going nuts with all this other stuff.
Thank you, Chairman. As you know, being from New York, we're reaping the consequences of what a governor and a state legislature with a radical agenda have done to ban natural gas in new construction, ban gas stoves, and much more of what we're seeing here in Washington. And in the face of cold winters and life-threatening snowstorms, I know that my constituents, and I'm sure the case is elsewhere with some of my colleagues in this room, expect that they can rely on the appliances and energy sources that they have affordably worked with for years in their households. Yet this administration is clearly intent on nationalizing what states like New York and California are doing, and is threatening the reliability of our nation's energy grid and basic affordability. And they're trying to do it without acts of Congress. They're trying to do it through these rulemaking entities. I simply cannot understand how, in the face of persistent inflation and crushing costs, that this administration, with penalty of help from congressional Democrats, is so focused on policies that simply put and inflict financial and economic pain on the American people. I strongly support all that you've done here today to rein in spending and to exercise the power of the purse to truly hold this administration accountable, and I proudly yield back, Mr. Chairman.